Okay, ladies and gents, are we live? It's your favorite Asian robot right here. Welcome to today's video discussing the upcoming changes for patch 1.1.1. Okay, this patch drops on the 8th of August, alright? And like before, I'm going to separate this patch notes review into two videos. The first one is going to talk about the general updates that are coming, and then the second one is going to be a detailed, long video talking specifically about the class balance changes. Why am I not covering them both? Because there's a lot to work through. Diablo is trying to make some serious changes to its game, so there is a lot to work through. You can just take a look at this. The link to this page will be provided in the description of the video, obviously, so that you guys can check it out for yourself. But as I mentioned, we'll go through the class changes separately. So without further ado, guys, let's talk about the general changes coming in patch 1.1.1 for Diablo 4. There are quite a few positive changes, but I'm also going to explain them, all right? And I don't envision this video taking too long because honestly, there aren't that many changes that we need to thoroughly explain in very much detail. They're pretty straightforward. And also, thank you for watching my videos while I've been sick, all right? So let's get through this. Gameplay updates. Well, first and foremost, they are increasing monster density in Nightmare Dungeons and in the Helltide. This is both good and bad. Let me explain why. This is good for players that are playing optimized builds. And if your build is, for example, one of the robot builds, then you are playing an optimized build. And due to that efficiency, you're probably going to see increased loot drops, XP gains in the Nightmare Dungeons and in the Helltide, which is the primary two activities that we do most of the time once we're past that level 50 stage. All right, these are the two primary activities that we do, and the increased monster density means more loot, better XP, overall better time, because our builds are efficient. We're killing monsters in seconds, you know, less than a second, sometimes one defensive skill press, the whole horde's dead. So we will be having a great time. However, if you're not using an optimized build, you're not using something that is considered the most efficient for that season, you're probably going to suffer a lot, because now the increased monster density doesn't just mean trash mobs. I'm hoping it doesn't just mean trash mobs, please. If it means just trash mobs, then we've got a serious problem. But it's most likely going to be more elites as well. Elites are what we really kill for the good loot, right? And the increase of elites means that your build either has to be very efficient at killing or tanky enough to survive the variety of conditions. Most of the time, this doesn't happen because unstoppables are not unlimited in this game, and a couple of elites will wreck your day. And if more of them spawn with the stupid suppressor affix, that's going to be a big danger for several classes, especially the Bone Necro. We're going to suffer a lot because suppressor is our major weakness. So we're going to have to see how that really goes. But chances are likely that due to the increased density, even with more elites, as long as they don't spawn with too many annoying affixes, we should see much more XP and loot. So I'm actually excited for that, but I will keep an eye on the changes when the patch drops, and of course we'll assess it live on stream as well. Okay? So that's a great thing. Bosses above level 60 will now have more health. However, this is going to be compensated by the fact that these bosses will have a 100% chance of dropping a legendary item after level 35. And bosses below level 60 will have no changes. So your experience up to about level 60 is not going to alter. Your experience beyond that might change. All right? The example being that bosses, by the time we hit level 80, the bosses will have drastically increased health. Okay? Is this going to be a problem? I think we will have to look at this in context. If you guys have seen my recent videos on the Sorcerer, Necro, all that, take a look at the boss fight sections for those videos that did have them, and take note that the boss fights took all of 15 seconds. Granted, this is because they were below the 60 mark. However, I have a feeling that based on the overall power of these classes and the power of the most efficient builds, I don't foresee this being too much of a problem. It'll stop the boss fights from being 15 seconds. Now the boss fights are probably going to be around 20 to maybe 40 seconds. You might even get a full minute out of them, because they're not increasing the boss's defenses, just the health of the boss. So they're going to be a bit more bullet spongy. But considering the effectiveness of killing them, especially with stuff like the Barber Heart, should not be too much of a problem. I'm sure they'll monitor the changes. If it gets to be too much of a problem, everybody's going to rage on the internet again, and then they'll probably walk it back. Plain and simple, Diablo devs bow to the pressure of the people. And they have this entire time, so I don't think you guys have too much to be worried about. But me personally, I'm going to enjoy at least being able to put in a boss fight section in my videos that doesn't last 15 seconds. Like, hey guys, here's the boss fight. Oh shit, it's over, you know. Well, okay, now at least we're going to have a 30 to maybe 40-second boss fight. Yeah? Okay. But now, I'm not a Diablo partner, despite some people thinking that I am. I'm really not. One thing which I do have to be concerned about is, will this change affect the Butcher? Because I'm pretty sure the Butcher is a boss. This is where the only trouble is going to be, because people getting, you know, rolled over by the Butcher now. I know some people don't use my builds, or they don't use a strong build. They play, you know, whatever they want to play, and then they do badly, and they already have trouble with the Butcher. Some of them even try my builds without paying attention to them and have trouble with the Butcher, which is obvious because you didn't pay attention in the first place. But anyway, you know, I'm digressing. If the Butcher also undergoes this change, that might be a problem for most players, because I have seen how many people are not capable of dealing with the Butcher. This is going to be more of a problem. I love fighting the Butcher. I kill him every single time. I want the Butcher in every dungeon for me, please. Diablo, could you please just make that happen for my account so I can have a Butcher fight every dungeon? I really, really want the mount parting. But anyway, if this does happen, if this does go through, yeah, Butcher fights are going to be unfun. So I hope the Butcher will not be increased by this. This should only apply, take note now, this should only apply to the actual bosses. But I have a genuine feeling that Diablo devs are going to mess up completely. Butcher is going to be insane. Nobody's going to be able to kill him except for those that have already practiced that high level of gameplay. And then it's all going to be over. And then this change is going to get walked back. So take note. If it applies to the Butcher, you're screwed. Devs, save yourself the time. Make sure this doesn't apply to the Butcher. Make sure it only applies to the loser bosses at the end of the dungeon. You make this change to all bosses, including the Butcher, it's not going to go over well. Mark my words. Okay? Great. I'm glad we understand each other. Well, I hope we understand each other. But listen, I said it first here. If somebody else remembers this, just send them to my video and say, hey, Robot said it first, because guess what? It's kind of the problem. Yeah? Okay. Level 35 or higher bosses will now have a 100% chance to drop a legendary item. This should also be changed, because I believe that the Butcher should always drop a unique. My thoughts. Especially if that previous change is going to apply to the Butcher. Hey, make him worth our trouble. He already drops a legendary. Make sure he drops a unique every single time, yeah? Treasure Goblins have an increased legendary item drop chance from level 6 to 14, and will guarantee a legendary drop starting at level 15. So no more Treasure Goblins that only give magic items, which was the worst possible thing that I've ever seen. I'm glad that's not happening anymore. Legion events are now more rewarding and guarantee a legendary drop starting at level 35. I'll be playing a lot of Legion events because I still want my Skosklen Barding, which I don't have for some weird reason. And I will test this out, and we'll see whether or not the Legion events are genuinely worth it. Let's check. So we'll check that out. I was about to say let's check it out, but I was like, okay, we'll check it out, you know, after the patch drops on the 8th. Okay? In general, we have made multiple improvements on how damage and other effects interact with active barriers. Now, this is a very interesting change, because the most major thing here is that Temerity... Is it here? I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, Temerity. Now properly accounted for by conditions checking for the player having a barrier. So Temerity could actually be pretty useful. Now, for some weird reason, Temerity still hasn't dropped for me this time around. Last time in the preseason, I had like 6 Temerities. Now I have no Temerity. But, you know, I'll wait till Temerity actually drops for me, because I think it'll be so interesting that now that it properly accounts for conditions, checking if the player has a barrier. I can finally have permanent barrier with my lucky hit chance. Potential. Yes? Okay. So I'm looking forward to that if that does go through. Anyway, coming back to the other changes. Bonus damage or bonus effects that are applied on hit or when dealing damage will now apply the same effect through barriers. So what this means is that the exploit Paragon glyph will now apply vulnerable to enemies that have an active barrier. This did not happen in the past, and this is a very positive change. It will help the classes that rely on the exploit glyph to apply vulnerable, but we have literally tried to move away from that for most classes because, yeah, it's just a really bad mechanic. But this will help. So Hammer of the Ancients Barbarians are going to be pretty happy about that. Cheat death effects will now work properly when the player has an active barrier. Yeah. This also affects PvP play. Yay. Varshan will now break through any bone wall segments he dashes through. Okay. The cost of refunding skill or Paragon points has been reduced. The reduction starts small at lower levels and hits a maximum of 40% at level 100. So it'll now be a lot cheaper than it was in the past to refund skill and Paragon points. They have increased the stack limit for elixirs from 20 to 99, which will be good for those of you Helltide farmers, yeah, like me. We eventually gather so many elixirs. An additional stash tab can now be purchased at the stash with gold, so now 5 stash tabs instead of the previous 4, yeah. They have restored the cast time for Leave Dungeon back to 3 seconds. Again, this change has not gone through yet. 8th August, okay? Yeah. The Leave Dungeon ability previously was being used as an easy escape from danger in dungeons, particularly for hardcore players. However, we recognize that this is outweighed by the downside of the game feeling less responsive. They've heard your feedback and are reversing this change, alright? I mean, if they want to make it more dangerous for hardcore characters, deny them the ability to leave dungeon until the dungeon is cleared. There we go. They wanted it hardcore, right? Make them suffer. Okay, hardcore players must suffer tremendously. Why? Because they are hardcore. They love to suffer. Give it to them. The following Nightmare Dungeon affixes have been removed. Resource Burn, Backstabbers, and Empowered Elites Cold Enhance. This is great. Please remove Suppressor. Literally, Suppressor is the only affix which completely denies an entire playstyle, i.e. long range. Why is it a thing? There are no enemies that completely invalidate melee, right? So why would you invalidate an entire playstyle when the whole point is that you want... In fact, the rogue's class changes, which I will cover in that class change video, are all about buffing ranged attacks, which are not used right now at all. Yet, you still have the suppressor affix in there, which is denying literally an entire playstyle. Sure, Bone Spear Necro is not going to be effective because I have to get up close in their face, throw a Bone Spear or angle it at the wall and bounce it off like I'm playing Gunbound from back when I was 12 years old. But still, it's a problem. Could we please resolve that? Suppressor is not fun. Find another affix or, you know, make them like Droidicas with barriers or something, but, you know, don't just invalidate my ranged attack. Like, you can reduce its damage or whatever. Make these elites like blockers, like range blockers or whatever, but seriously, you invalidate their whole attack and AoE around them, and it's so tiny that when I go in, I've got no room to range anyway. Like, yo, Suppressor is not fun. Can we please remove that? That would be really great. Okay, thank you. Malignant Hearts. Cage Heart of Spellbreaking. Upon taking elemental damage, you gain 10 to 20% damage reduction for 5 seconds. This is technically useful now because damage reduction obviously is far better than resistance. Resistance was trash. Now we actually have damage reduction. But the thing about this is that it is going to compete with the Barber Heart. So right now, for the Sorcerer, we're using Tal Rasha, Revenge, obviously, because Revenge is great, and universally good, and the Barber Heart. That's 3 slots. We're not going to have room to take on Heart of the Spellbreaking, and it's not any better than the Revenge Heart. FYI. So if you want this to be better, I would say double it to 20% to 40%. Just my thought. It would actually make it worth taking over the Revenge Heart if you got a 40% damage reduction for 5 seconds upon taking elemental damage. Some people only deal physical damage, so then people will have to make a trade-off. Like, am I going to take elemental damage and get the higher damage reduction, or am I just going to use something standard across the board, Heart of Revenge? Okay, that's my take on this, because nobody's going to pick this heart. There's no sorcerer that's going to pick this heart, and if they did, they'd be either missing out on damage or missing out on barber. Either way, not a smart plan. FYI. Okay, great. Generic unique items, Temerity, the all stats affix has been replaced by max life. Very positive change. Barrier is now based on maximum life. Very positive change. This is going to be very good. So Temerity is going to be one of the great items to have, and I personally will want it. It's probably going to be a must-have for PvP, so yeah, that's going to be a thing. But I'll see how it goes if I can ever acquire Temerity. Till this date, I still don't have Deathless Visage. FYI. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what the luck in the Nightmare Dungeons brings us. Yeah? Okay. Bug fixes. There are several bug fixes. I can't remember if any of them are major. I'm just gonna have a quick skim through. La 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 la. Yeah, mostly just bug fixes, things like that. This one is a really good one. Critters, non-combative creatures in Nightmare Dungeons with the Death Pulse affix will no longer explode on death. Okay, this explosion was never dealing damage. And now they've fixed an issue where the resource burn affix for Nightmare Dungeons was applying from close enemies and not just distant enemies. I did show it one time on stream. I literally was never able to get any resources anyway. Fixed an issue where the boss in the Den of the Blighted could be damaged through the fog wall. Lol. Okay, but this, well, I'm glad they fixed it regardless, but aren't they removing... They're removing the resource burn affix anyway, so okay, whatever. I'm glad they fixed it regardless, though. And they fixed an issue where the reset dungeon button often malfunctioned. Great, now it won't malfunction anymore. Fixed an issue where the keeper would not drop Garen's key. I knew it was a bug. There was one time that I thought I missed the key, but this has been fixed now, so that's great. Okay, if you want the full thing, link in the description, yeah? Barbarian, fixed an issue where charge didn't carry all enemies hit along with the Barbarian. This is going to be good because charge, I believe, is getting a buff. This will be covered in the class changes section. Fixed an issue where lunging strike could cause the player character to get stuck underground. Good. Fixed an issue where the bonus critical strike chance granted by focus rage, malignant power, could be consumed by non-combat skills. Okay. Fixed an issue where aspect of berserk ripping wouldn't cause targets to bleed when berserking. Good. At least that's been fixed. Tooltip for moon rage. Malignant power now communicates to players the power's additional lucky hit chance of spawning a wolf when damaging a boss. Nice. And wow, grants +3 ranks to wolves. Fixed an issue where Call of the Wild and aspect of Stampede were not properly affecting the passive portions of companion skills and the active portion of wolf. Okay. Great. Necromancer. They fixed the blood orbs thing. Okay, so less blood orbs than previously before. You can have 30 at most at one time. So this is most likely because some people might have generated more than that. So hopefully that won't happen anymore. Guaranteed overpower attacks from Rathma's Vigor were not benefiting from the Paragon Legendary Node Bloodbath, so this has been fixed. Blood builds are probably going to see much better damage output, especially if they're using the overpower, so that's good. Fixed an issue where the automatic corpse explosion cast from the Sacrilegious Malignant power could ignore the damage-reducing effect when using the unenhanced corpse explosion. Fair enough. I don't think most people would have used that, but no, fair enough. Now we know. Fixed an issue where untimely death aspect only increased overpower damage on blood lance that was cast and not other lance targets. So yay, this is good. Fixed an issue where when the Decrepit Aura Malignant power is equipped twice, the power with the lowest number of near enemies required to activate was not the one that would trigger. I don't know why people would equip it twice, but okay, good that it's fixed. Don't equip it twice. The most important thing is that they fixed the Necromancer's imperfectly balanced, so please remember to take out points from your corpse explosion, chuck it into imperfectly balanced, yeah? Because that needs to be 3 out of 3. Decrepit Aura Malignant Power wouldn't trigger when mounted, so now it will trigger when mounted. Granted, you shouldn't be worrying too much about that, but, well, good to know that it triggers when mounted now. Alright. Rogue. Fix an issue where Poison Trap could be infinitely cast without spending energy by using the concealment skill near zone transition areas. Alright, somebody definitely took advantage of that glitch for some weird reason. Fixed an issue where the Shadow Clone's taunt effect from the Trickery Malignant Power could taunt other players in PvP. The taunt was not breakable by unstoppable effects. Okay. So this was being abused in PvP probably. Now it will no longer do that. That's awesome though. Imagine being able to taunt players like unbreakably. Nice. Sorcerer. Fixed an issue where the Elemental Dominance passive didn't function correctly when using core and mastery skills that dealt damage over time. Okay. A meteor cast at 50 mana that would take you under 50 mana would not get the full damage bonus. I see. Okay. Understood. Fixed an issue where the Omnipower Malignant power wouldn't consume additional mana, which would then not trigger other interactions with additional resource consumption. Well, thankfully this was not used by me, but okay. I mean, maybe it'll help other builds. Fixed an issue where the Omnipower Malignant power was inconsistently launching the appropriate number of projectiles. In addition, the tooltip has been updated to better describe the power. The previous tooltip was a bit misleading as it did not consume the entirety of your mana pool. It will consume as much as it can depending on the number rolled on the affix. I look forward to reading the new text. Maybe it'll be actually worthwhile. I'll think about it, but I mean, I'm very doubtful it can replace Barber. Fixed an issue where the effects from the Dark Dance Malignant power would reset the Align the Elements passive. Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Dark Dance Malignant power. Let me have a look at that. Caged Heart of the Dark Dance. What does it do? I see. 60% life. Ah, this is the one. Okay, so it consumes life to allow the core skill to deal damage. Increased damage. Okay. It would reset the Align the Elements passive. Huh. Okay. Well, now we know. Fixed an issue where the random location teleport effect from the Oculus could cause players to get stuck in the environment. Well, duh, that's what happens a lot when you have a teleport thing. I still haven't gotten the Oculus, so I've never been able to try that, but fair enough. Okay, now we know. General issues. Fixed an issue where the speed increase from the spur skill while mounted was slower on control than keyboard and mouse, so now all of you control players will be able to rush alongside your PC friends, okay? Fixed an issue where invasion portals spawn during certain Helltide events could be pushed off screen with fear effects. Okay, that's a hilarious bug, but okay, that's fixed now. Fixed an issue where Paragon rare nodes would sometimes not provide bonuses with stat boosting gear. Okay, now they will. Fixed an issue where continuously enchanting an item could result in having the same stat show repeatedly in subsequent rerolls. Thank God. This has been a problem for so long, now it's fixed. Praise be. Fixed an issue where post-death damaging effects ignored the damage reduction from stats of close or distant enemies. Yes! Oh my God. Okay, yes. Yes! Now we can stop dying to the stupid poison effects now. Woohoo! Yeah! I'm actually happy with that. Oh, thank God. Okay, this is actually really helpful. Take note. This is very good. Fixed an issue where mounting your steed while moving would behave erratically when playing on console. Okay, well, good to know that this is good. That this has been fixed. It will help console players. Monsters. Fixed an issue where elite enemies with teleport affix could teleport from off-screen and deal excessive damage. Lamau. Okay, I'm glad that this isn't the case because I've died to that once or twice, but it's very rare. Fixed an issue where Tusk Charger enemies could still damage the player after dying. Lamau. Okay, well, that also explains one or two unintentional deaths from the Chargers. I always thought I dodged those guys. Okay, anyway. Fix an issue where the corpse spawn enemy wouldn't attack the player. Okay. Fixed an issue where the Maju monster was more difficult to defeat than intended. Great. Quests. Okay, let's ignore that because nobody cares about quests, do we? Season of the Malignant. Fix an issue where the Prudent Heart Malignant power would not trigger when mounted. Fix an issue where Dark Dance power would behave as if the player was damaging themselves and could apply other effects that occur when player deals damage. Yep. Okay, fix an issue where Invoker of Varshan recipe could be lost. I've seen that happen. Fix an issue where the Barbar Malignant power would absorb damage from all other players and not just the player with it equipped. Sag, no more super fast world boss kills. Alright, I mean, it'll still buff your damage. Don't get me wrong. I was playing solo in most dungeons, so that is not going to change. You're not going to drastically see any changes to my Sorcerer after this, but it will stop the whole, you know, easy peasy breezy world boss kills. So that's going to be a thing, and yeah, that's gonna change. So previously it was giving you a lot more than you thought. Now it'll just be normal. Okay, I mean, the wording itself did say all subsequent damage, you know, and I assumed that would have counted other players, but now they've made it clear it is only just supposed to be your damage that's counted. So am I still going to use the Barber Heart? Hell yeah. 95% of the time, this is still damn good. All right, because it's an AoE explosion, guaranteed crit, multiplier. You'd be stupid not to use it. So even though this is the case, I mostly play solo anyway, so this is completely fine. Fixed an issue where the Urn of Bargaining Season Blessing was increasing the enchant cost for items. Good. Fixed an issue where the Dark Dance Malignant Heart could kill the player. It will no longer consume life if the player does not have enough life to pay. Thank you. All right. This would actually make it useful for classes that are pushing for maximized damage, and it's probably more useful on builds that where you want to try and conserve a bit of additional resource. It is possible to actually use this. One example would technically be the Bone Spear Necro that can actually benefit from this. But because you would use an Imbiber Glyph, it may not be as viable. Calculate your life and then decide, because the life consumption, as I recall, is a flat amount. Although the effect can only trigger once every... Let's go back and review. It's a flat amount, but it's every 5 seconds anyway, so it usually can't kill you as long as this doesn't set you below 80%. The amount consumed, as long as it doesn't set you below 80%, that'll be fine. But if you're using the Imbiber Glyph, it may not be worth it. The bonus from Imbiber is much higher anyway. Although this, I'm pretty sure, is a multiplicative increase. So decide for yourself whether it's worth it or not. I did use it a little bit, but for the most part, I've never needed it. So decide for yourself, yeah? Okay. Fixed an issue where effects that build up from dealing damage wouldn't properly build up while the effect from the Barber Malignant Heart was active. Alright, so Inner Sight Rogues were suffering, but I mean, they were irrelevant anyway. But now, I guess they will be slightly more relevant. So use the Barber Heart, use it away, because people were complaining about all sorts of shit, but who cares about them, alright? Because they weren't important. What was important is that I deal billions of damage. Okay, now I can't do that anymore, but that's okay. So this is a good fix overall. I'm happy with that. Shop Battle Pass fixes, I'll leave that to you guys to read. UI, leave that to you guys to read. Miscellaneous, leave that to you guys to read. And, well, stability, performance. I hope that this part is true for once, because honestly, we have been always wondering whether or not there'll be enough stability and performance. It's been pretty bad recently. The servers have had their issues. I hope that this is a fix for real, but we will see. Okay? So I thought that this was going to be a quick one. It wasn't, was it? Ended up nearly 29 minutes, but this is detailed anyway. So thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm sorry I've been away from streaming. I've been very, very sick. I am hopefully coming back tomorrow. As you can see, I look and sound a lot better, but I'm still not 100%. I can absolutely tell you I am not 100%. I'm still kind of dying internally, but I will do my best to come back as best I can. All right? So thank you very much for always supporting. You guys are amazing. All right? And I know you guys will continue to be amazing. So thank you always for everything you do for me. All right, right now, let me thank our top supporters this season. Sorry, this month, this season. August Big Wig supporters. Our top super chatter is Marcus Carrillo for the month of August. Our top super chatter list is Daryl Neo, River Archer 124, and Raised Reality. Our top channel membership gifters are Newbie and Books Lucas. Thank you guys so much. All right. Our cosmetic sponsors remain Sinner, Sabingu, Newbie, and Zane Hoagland, also known as Big Chungus right now. Okay, thank you guys so much. All right. Now, we're going to switch over to the channel memberships. Here are our top channel members. All right, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, okay? You like my content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or else I'll die. Okay? I need you guys. All right, let's start right at the tippy top. We have our top man, the Big Chungus himself, at the only fan level. Thank you so much. We have our longest standing channel member, Death Dawning 982 at Plus Ultra. Thank you guys so much. Jerry Fast, OG, Rogue Assassin, and Zach MG are all prestige. Thank you so much. In terms of our honored robots, we've got Corey Ryu, Marcel, Kaishiwa, Bob John, Maxim Lotz, Devin Lashin, Mookie Mocha, Rena, Chase Taylor, Nathan Strong, Nightshade, Lady Neo 2, Joey Danze, Darverse, Che D12, I'm Peeps, Syed Assad, Coda CMF, Kami SMH, Conrad C, Nate the Great, and Benjamin Savage. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this content. This is the general patch notes for the update that's up and coming. All right. Now we're going to go through the class change patch notes. Well, I say now, but I'm actually going to film the video now, but the video is probably going to release about 4, 5, 6 hours from now. So yeah, enjoy this, and then I'll see you on the next video, okay? Y'all have a good one.